So students, dear students, today we are going to learn the NMR spectroscopy. It is the short form of nuclear magnetic resonance. And this topic is again very important as far as your syllabus is concerned. And yesterday I told to you that this spectroscopic method is very important when you are searching the job or when you go for the job. During that time, NMR spectroscopy is very important because when you join the industry and especially R&D department, research and development department, in that case spectroscopic tool is very important for characterization of organic compound. What we have learned in the UV spectroscopy, that UV spectroscopy is useful for determination of lambda max of organic compound finish. You should know these things only. So for what purpose NMR spectroscopy, sorry, UV spectroscopy is used? It is used for the determination of lambda max of organic compound. That is okay. Then we move to the IR spectroscopy. What is the IR spectroscopy and why, how it is useful to find out the organic compound structure determination. So in case of IR spectroscopy, we know the information of organic compound regarding the functional group of organic compound. Suppose if we have phenol, you know that the structure of phenol, it having a benzene ring and OH group is attached to the benzene ring, that is called as phenol. So when we take the IR of that compound, definitely we'll get the information about functional group of organic compound. So IR spectroscopy, infrared spectroscopy, it is useful to determine the functional group of organic compound, any kind of functional group. You know that there are lot of functional group. What are that one? OH group is there, COH group is there, then COH, then CO group is there, that is amide, ester, ether, then aldehyde, ketones. Lot of functional groups are there, even carbon, carbon double bond. All these things are coming under this functional group, and that functional groups are determined by using IR spectroscopy. Now when we move to the NMR spectroscopy, how that NMR spectroscopy is useful to determine the structure of organic compound. Why I am telling to you that? Because when you are doing the research kind of work, when you are working at industry having a new product, during that time what kind of product is there, what are the different constituent present in that compound, that we have to find out. And for that purpose, it is not your duty to synthesize only organic compound. It is your duty, whatever you have synthesized the material, you should understood what kind of material is there, what is its IR, what is its NMR, what is its UV, what is its mass spectrum, what is its purity, everything you have to find out. And by for that purpose you should use NMR spectroscopy and other spectroscopic tool to do that one. Now, as far as your syllabus is concerned, your paper is concerned, especially organic chemistry paper, what things are given in NMR spectroscopy, what things we should study in the NMR spectroscopy. Look at this. So it is unit number 4 and it is nuclear magnetic resonance. Shortly it is called as NMR spectroscopy. What things are going to learn in this topic? First of all, introduction. What is the introduction? Then principle of NMR spectroscopy. Then third one is NMR instrumentation, schematic diagram, means whatever we are having the NMR spectra, by which instrument is useful to determine the NMR spectra, or which tool is available for determination of NMR spectra. Then magnetic and non-magnetic nuclei. What do you mean by magnetic? What do you mean by non-magnetic nuclei? Thereafter, chemical shift, its definition, measurement, calculation, factors affecting on chemical shift. These points are coming under this chemical shift. Then shielding and deshielding. What do you mean by shielding? What do you mean by deshielding? Then peak integration. There are various kind of peaks will be obtained during the NMR spectra. And what is particularly that peak integration? Thereafter, you will have the merit of TMS. TMS means tetramethylsilanes. Merit means its benefits. Why we are using TMS as a PMR, that is proton magnetic resonance spectroscopy, especially reference compound. Then coupling constant. What do you mean by coupling constant, and for what purpose it is useful? Then type of coupling constant. There are different type of coupling constant. J1 coupling, J3 coupling, long range coupling, like that you will have the coupling constant. Then spin splitting by using N plus rule, means there are certain peaks which are having the different splitting pattern, just like a singlet, doublet, triplet, quartet, quintet, like that. And lastly, we will have the applications. We are not going to cover all these things in one lecture. Just we try to finish 1 or 2 points, not more than that one, because you are unknowing about this NMR spectroscopy, because it is new to you. You have not studied this point before. Therefore, we are not in hurry to finish that topic. We go very slowly so that you can understand each and every point of the NMR spectroscopy. And one more point that we have to have there, that is equivalent proton and non-equivalent proton. What do you mean by equivalent proton? What do you mean by non-equivalent proton? That part we are going to discuss in this topic. So therefore, student, again I request you to be careful regarding to understanding this NMR concept. Once you understood the NMR concept very well, definitely you will get good score. It is not the part of getting the good score. It is the most part of your life, because after that you are having some career by taking the knowledge of NMR spectroscopy. So do not miss the opportunity to learn the NMR spectroscopy very well. Once you understood the concept, definitely you have to have very good or excellence in the NMR spectroscopy. And once you understood, you do not study much more, because understanding is very important. Instead of reading and writing so many things of NMR spectroscopy, just you understand the concept first. Once you understand the concept, ultimately you will get each and everything. Now see here, what do you mean by nuclear magnetic resonance? It is just the introduction. Why we use this NMR spectroscopy, and what is actually spectroscopy? Now see here, nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy. It is the full form of NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy. Most commonly it is known as NMR spectroscopy. When we call NMR, definitely you can understood it is nothing but nuclear magnetic resonance, and is the name given to the technique which exploit the magnetic properties of certain nuclei. This phenomenon and its origins are a detail given in the separate section which is called as nuclear magnetic resonance. The most important application for the organic chemist are proton NMR spectroscopy. So we will see the proton NMR spectroscopy in detail in this topic. And another type of spectroscopy is there which is called as C13 NMR spectroscopy. In principle, NMR is applicable to any nucleus possessing spin. Now I am coming to the NMR spectroscopy, that is nuclear magnetic resonance, and especially why it is called as nuclear magnetic resonance. Or we know that when we have the matter, any kind of matter you can take, matter is visible by our open eye. One can see this matter very well, just like a stone. You know that stone you can observe very well. Even though whatever you are having the notebook, you can see this very well. Even your pen you can see very well. But when we call as atom, or when we consider as atom, then it is not visible by your open eye. When two atoms comes together, you will get the molecule. When two atoms comes together, you will get the molecule, even though that molecule is not visible by your open eye. Then what is different between atom and molecule? What is the difference between atom and molecule? See here, molecules can be divisible. and it is not seen by the open eye. No doubt, molecule will not be seen by the open eye, but molecule can be divisible. When we take the one molecule, you can divide that molecule into two atoms. So it is divisible and it is not seen by the open eye. When you consider the atom is not visible by the open eye or naked eye. But when you go for the divisibility of this one, you will not get the division of atom. Atom remain as it is. When you try to break the atom, you will not get the fragmentation of atom. But when you break the molecule, definitely that will break and that get converted into atoms. So one molecule give two atoms. But when you take one atom, you will not get the fragmentation of that one, that atom. So this is the main difference. Atom is not seen by the open eye. Molecule is also not seen by the open eye. But atom is not divisible, but molecule is divisible. This is the main difference. Why I am telling you to that? Because we come to the atom. When we consider the atom, you know that what content are there in the atom. Atom contain nucleus, atom contains protons. So when we consider atoms, you know that at the central part it contains nucleus, and outer part of that nucleus it is a orbit, and that orbit contain electrons. So when we consider atom, you know that at the central we have the nucleus, and at the periphery of that nucleus we are having the electrons. So electrons and nucleus both are there in the atom. Now when I am talking about the nucleus, again nucleus contain proton and neutron. Remember here, I came to the point at nucleus, and nucleus contain proton. Now see here, whatever we are having the big molecule, we are not considering that big molecule. What we are considering? The atom we are considering. We are considering the proton which are present in the atom. Proton and neutron is there in the nucleus, and out of that we are interested in the proton. So see here, proton is there and we have to focus on that proton. So this is about this introduction of NMR spectroscopy. When we consider NMR spectroscopy, actually right there, see here, when magnetic nuclei exposed to magnetic field absorption, light radiation at unique combination of field strength and frequency of radiation called as NMR spectroscopy. Now at this moment you do not understand the concept of NMR spectroscopy. Now see here, for the NMR spectroscopy, which radiation is needed? You need radio frequency or radio waves are needed. Now this radio frequency, what is the range of that radio frequency? It having a 100 to 600 megahertz. This is the range. In some cases it is 100 to 1000 megahertz. Up till now you can consider 100 to 600 megahertz. Now see here, in case of UV spectroscopy, what we have to have? UV radiation is needed. When you are having that IR spectroscopy, you need to have IR radiation. And when you are talking about that NMR spectroscopy, in this case, what we have to need is the radio waves. So radio waves from electromagnetic radiation, it is used in the NMR spectroscopy. Now see the concept of this NMR spectroscopy. When organic molecule is taken, or when we want to take NMR spectra of organic molecule, and when radio frequency radiations are allowed to fall on that organic molecule, what happen there? The proton which are present at the nucleus, that proton try to absorb the radio waves and they get certain change, and whatever change are observed, that changes are recorded by the instrument which is called a spectrophotometer, that we are going to discuss in the next slide. Now see here, the proton, hydrogen contain one proton and it acts as a bar magnet or tiny bar magnet. Means whenever we take the hydrogen, that hydrogen contain one protons and one, the atomic number is 1, mass number is also 1. It is given below. So hydrogen contain one proton and its mass number is 1. Atomic number is 1, mass number is 1. But when we take the isotope of hydrogen, just like a deuterium and tritium, in this case, hydrogen having 1 atomic number, deuterium having a 2 atomic number, and tritium having a 3 atomic number. And therefore, we only consider hydrogen which having the mass number 1, atomic number 1. When hydrogen is taken into the consideration, it acts as a bar magnet. You know that what do you mean by a bar magnet or magnet? It absorbs what actually happen with the proton or hydrogen. What actually hydrogen do here? Hydrogen does the absorption of radio frequency light from the electromagnetic radiation at light radiation of unique combination of field strength and frequency of radiation. This light absorption by the proton is called as NMR spectroscopy, and lot of organic molecule contain proton. Look at this. If you take any kind of organic compound, or you can tell me any kind of organic compound, just like ethane, methane, propane, butane, pentane, hexane, any things you can consider, you will find that proton is there. Suppose CHCl3, it means that chloroform. It also contains a proton. Means the compound or the molecule which contain a proton, that definitely shows NMR spectra. You see one things again here. So the organic compound which contain the proton, definitely it gives NMR spectra. If organic compound do not contain proton, it will not give NMR spectra. So this is the main reason. And why we have to consider hydrogen? Because hydrogen contain one proton and it acts as a bar magnet. When it contain a proton, when radio frequency radiations are allowed to fall on it, definitely hydrogen try to absorb the radio frequency radiation and it makes certain change in the molecule, and that change is recorded in the spectrophotometer. That is the NMR spectroscopy. Now see next part of that one, principle of NMR spectroscopy. Whatever I explained just now, that is nothing but the principle of NMR spectroscopy. Absorption of energy by the nucleus occurs at the unique combination of field strength and frequency of radiation, which is called as resonance. This will changes in spin state of the proton, that is called as flipping. Now you know that flipping means changing the state. Suppose you know that electrons, when electron is upward direction, it having one kind of spin. When electron having the spin below the spin, it is the another kind of spin. So when spin is upward direction and when spin is at downward direction, so upward direction and downward direction, when they are going to changes, that is called as flipping. So flipping is nothing but the change in spin state, that is called as flipping. And this is the characteristic property of chemical environment absorbing the proton. So whenever we are having the spinning state or flipping state, that is the responsible for changing the chemical environment of proton. What do you mean by chemical environment? That part we are going to see this. We are going to discuss afterwards. Next part of this topic is called as NMR instrumentation. Now, what do you mean by NMR instrumentation? So, whatever we are having the organic compound, and when that organic compounds is under study, or when we want to take the NMR spectra of that organic compound, during that time, the instrument is used, and that instrument is called as NMR instrument or especially spectrophotometer. So, spectrophotometer is important here. What parts are there in the NMR instrument? See here, it is electromagnetic or superconducting solenoid. So this is the part of the NMR instrument. What it gives the information, it provides powerful, stable and homogeneous magnetic field, because we need to have the magnetic field during recording the NMR spectra, and electromagnets and superconducting solenoid is the part of that NMR instrument. Second part is called as transmitter. You know that transmitter, it's generate approximate radio waves 60 to 1000 megahertz. Now this is the source to generate the radio waves frequency for the irradiating the sample. Third one is receiver coil. It carries electrical current generated due to the absorption of energy. So whatever energy is absorbed by the particular molecule, that generate the electrical current, and due to the absorption of energy. And fourth part of that instrumentation is called as readout system, which consists of amplifier and recorder. Whatever energy is absorbed by that particular molecule, especially proton, that is amplifier and it is recorded. If it is amplifier means that multiplication of the absorption of light. And finally, sample holder or sample container means if I want to take the NMR of ethanol, I have to put that ethanol sample into the container. That container is called as sample container. And usually this is called as glass tube. It is glass tube. It is not just 1 minute is remaining. Uh, we try to rejoin again and just we discuss some part regarding this one. So spectrophotometer, this is the actual diagram of spectrophotometer, and look at this central part. This central part contain a tube where we have to keep organic compound whose NMR spectra is to be recorded, and whatever the two part black color part you have seen both the side of the tube, that is called as magnetic pole. So left side you will have magnetic pole, right side you will have the magnetic pole. So in between these two magnetic pole, you will have the sample placing situation, and at the bottom you will have the swift generator, then radio frequency transmitter, then radio frequency receiver and amplifier, and finally control console and recorder. At this position